Wanna shake the ground, wanna break away, let loose. I'm tired of waiting, gotta make that move. All the neon signs, now they shout to me and you to write our story. Wanna shape the new. Do you wanna?
What up?
Do you wanna come along with me? Come along with me. Do you wanna? And we ain't got nothing, gotta do something, get it right. Gonna keep on running, grab the fun and live it live. Tomorrow's far away.
Hey, what's up?
My daddy is being mean to me.
And we ain't got nothing, gotta do something. Let us go tonight.
Alright, I got an interesting one right now.
Yo, D-Haro.
What's up, Juan? How's it going?
Got a restless mind.
Alright, I'm going to turn off text-to-speech right now because I want to get into this video so I can show you guys exactly what I did to try to save myself a bunch of money on fixing my furnace unit. And I know some of you guys watched me last night trying to install the new board, and I got that all done. But today I wanted to finish the whole process and show you guys exactly what you got to do to fix it. I see Luna here is... What, you want to help? You want to help me with the video? Do you even know what this is? Do you even know what this part is, Luna? Luna, what are you doing? I guess she's just kicking herself. 'Cause that's what she does. Alright. Alright, so, as I'm going to start this video kind of from like the beginning to tell you the whole story about what happened with my furnace unit and what I went through to try to figure out how to fix it. And I figure I should share this with other people because I was about to spend about $1,400 total, maybe a little bit more with like taxes and installation, what's it called when they make you pay for an install of something? Anyway, you got what I'm saying. They were going to charge me extra for installing, they charge for the parts, and then they charge diagnostic, that's another charge. And I wanted to kind of share with you guys everything I did so that at least maybe it'll help somebody in the future. Now this video is going to get edited up and cut and everything, and I will eventually post it on my channel as like a shorter video because I'm probably not going to explain things very well and I might have to explain myself a couple times. So just think of this as kind of like I'm shooting a video for YouTube but live. So you guys are kind of watching the process of me actually shooting it. I'm going to try and answer any questions or read anything in the chat that comes up. But in the meantime, I just wanted to show you exactly what happened. So first, let me just take you downstairs and show you what the actual furnace unit looks like, and we'll go from there. Luna, are you going to come with me? You want to come outside? Go ahead. Go outside first. I know she's got a piece of chicken out here she didn't eat earlier, so... Oh, there it is. I see it. I see it. Go get your chicken. Look, there's chicken right there. Right over here. Are you not going to eat it? Alright, well, anyway, let's go over here. I want to show you guys what the actual furnace unit looks like that I'm working with. Alright. So this is my furnace unit. It's a Trane TR-A-N-E, and it doesn't really matter what kind of furnace unit this is because yours are probably going to work pretty similar to this one if you have one in your house. Alright, so there's only really a few components that will go wrong, I guess, when you start diagnosing it in order to figure out why your AC stopped working. So this does heat and AC. And one day it was like in the summer, and it was really hot out, and I noticed that my AC wasn't working very well. My house actually started heating up more than it was actually cooling down. So I knew something was wrong, and I went outside to like walk my dog, and I came back home, and all of a sudden I just heard like this power down sound. Like it was just like running, and then all of a sudden it was like, and you could hear it like lose power, and then all of a sudden the AC just shut off. So I knew that didn't sound right. That wasn't like a normal sound that I would hear, but I went back and I checked, oh, maybe I blew a breaker. So I went over to the breaker box, which is this thing for you guys who don't know. So if you have one of these in your garage or in your basement or anything like that, just make sure that it wasn't some kind of thing where it blew the fuse, and then all you got to do is just like flip the switch and it'll start working again. Sometimes that could be an issue if it's trying to pull too much power from the AC unit and it's trying to overwork itself, and then all of a sudden it blows a breaker. So that's common. So I checked that. The breakers seemed fine. I looked at all the wires to see if maybe something came loose, and I was like, no, okay, it's not the breaker system. It's got to be something else. So I came in here and I started kind of fishing around. Of course, the first thing I did was I turned off the power. So like right here on the side of the unit, there's this on and off button. So that turns off the power to the actual AC unit here. And if you want to be even more safe, if you have it labeled in your breaker box, make sure that you also go to the breaker box and turn it off there. Because this is a job that is recommended to only really be done by trained professionals that are licensed, and you can pretty much die if you fuck up and you touch the wrong thing. You'll get electrocuted. So just make sure all your power's off before you start opening this shit up and messing with it. Don't be stupid. I don't want to get blamed for you getting hurt, so just make sure you do that first, okay? Alright, so once everything's off, you can tell because when it's on, these little LEDs here on the board, they will be blinking and on. Also, you might want to touch your nipples to it, and if you get shocked, then you know it's still on. You're going to want to turn it off. Alright, so I couldn't figure out why this thing wasn't coming on. I looked at the board, everything looked fine, all the wires were there. Right now it's currently unplugged, so just ignore those wires hanging out because I got to plug it back in. I just wanted to show you what the hell was wrong with the system first of all. So I went back upstairs, I started messing around with it, and I turned the power on. I turned it so that the AC would actually run, and I put the fan onto the on position on the thermostat. So let me show you that. Okay, so in case you don't know what a thermostat is, it's this thing that's on your wall where you control your AC unit. And what I did was, mine has this little panel that pops open, and I turned this from auto to the on position, and I made sure that instead of, it's on off right now, but I had that on cool, and then I made sure to turn my temperature down really low, so that way it would start actually trying to cool down. Now, when I did that, I heard something happen. I heard the fan come on, and there's that big fan unit outside that is, what is that, like a condenser or something for the AC unit? I don't really know the names of the parts because, again, I'm not a trained professional or anything, but this thing, let me show it to you. Okay, so I came out here because I heard this big fan running whenever I turned the AC on, and then I noticed these wires back here, or not real, they're not wires, they're actually like metal lines, they're coolant lines, and what happened is I saw ice all around here, so it started getting all frozen up. So I knew something wasn't running right. The fan in here was working, but the lines were freezing up. Came back in, took another look at the unit, and I noticed these lines right here, this copper line and this one here, had a bunch of ice formed on it. So I was like, okay, so the fan's not working, and what's happening is the fan isn't blowing the cool air or any of the heat out of the system, and it ends up just freezing up. We gotta take a commercial break here for Luna. I'm shooting a video, lady. Can you just be quiet for a minute? It's actually starting to rain a little bit outside. I was going to finish painting the deck today, but it's actually, I hear the storm rolling in. You can kind of see the clouds. They're pretty dark. So it's going to start raining in a little bit. I'm not even going to bother painting today because it's just going to get all messed up if I do that. Okay, back to this. So I noticed that the AC blower motor, which there's an actual motor inside of here. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but hang on, let me see if I can fit the camera in here. So back here, inside of the unit, there's a, you see that wire? It's attached to an actual electronic motor. Now that motor there stopped spinning by itself, and because it wasn't spinning, the system kept freezing up. I had a lady come out from an actual AC company to come diagnose it at that point. I was like, I don't know anything about AC systems. I'm kind of confused about this. I'm stuck. I don't know what else to do if it's not the breaker and the things keep freezing up. I have no idea where to start. So I paid for the diagnostic fee, and I figured if it's not that much money, if it's a couple $100, I'll just pay for whatever it costs to fix the parts. And she came here, she did a bunch of tests. She pulled this part off the back of the motor. This is the ECM controller module, I guess is what it's called. And this controls how fast the actual motor spins. So with your AC unit, hang on, try to put this book back down so I don't get like too hot over here while talking to you guys, because that backpack gets pretty hot. So yeah, she pulled this part off and she told me that after running a few tests, this is the part that's no longer working. So this is why the motor's not spinning. I need a new one, and it was going to cost me $700 to buy. I really didn't want to spend $700, so I started looking online, and there's model numbers on here, right? There's numbers there. There's a bunch of numbers there on the sticker. So I figured, why not just look the part numbers up, see what I can find, and maybe I'll find another one of these units that are affordable enough for me to buy instead of spending, you know, $700 on one. And maybe if I can order one online, get it to my house, I could just pull the plugs out, install it, and I'll have a working AC system. I'll save a bunch of money. So I figured it was like 60 to 80 bucks. I don't remember the exact price I paid, but maybe it was around that, like 60 to 80 for the diagnostic fee when they came over. So I figured, okay, I paid somebody 80 bucks to tell me what's wrong with the unit, and I'll save hundreds of dollars if I just buy a new one of these, replace it, and be fine. So I couldn't get anybody online that actually had one of these available. And I started looking up a bunch of reasons why this would die, why this would go out and stop working on its own, and if there was anything I could do to repair this module, because they said that this is discontinued. There was an upgraded model that came out. This over here says it's a ECM 2.3. The upgraded module that I saw, I think, said like ECM 3.0 or something, and there was a different model number. But every time I started reading about these on Google, I started hearing that if they're not programmed to your furnace unit, it's not going to work. So you have to buy these from a licensed dealer who's actually going to program it for your particular AC unit or furnace. Alright, so this is frustrating. I live in a small town, so there's not a lot of companies near me. Hang on, let me let the dog in. Are you good? So yeah, I live in a small town, so there's not like a lot of companies to call or try to figure out who the hell is going to help me with this. And the company that was closest to me was the one that came out and gave me like a $700 bill for this part. I started looking at this part and I'm like, alright, there's a couple capacitors in here, there's a thermistor, you know, just like little resistors and stuff like that. There's not a lot of electronic parts to this. When I took it apart, I noticed that there's like a silicone thing inside. I'll show it to you. Underneath that, there's another computer board. And what this does is it tells your motor how fast it should spin or if it should slow down depending on, you know, I guess how the unit's running. I don't really know all the technical sides of it, but I do know that it's a variable speed motor, so this actually tells it to speed up and slow down. It's not just on-off. With an electronic motor, if you have it just on-off, it's either at 0 RPMs or whatever it's rated to, like let's say it's 3,000 RPMs or 10,000 RPMs. So this actually changes that, so it'll be variable throughout. Alright, anyway, so I called the company, the next company that was closest to me, and I just asked them, hey, do you have this part number? Can I buy it from you? I'll drive there. It was like an hour away for the store. So I was like, I'll drive an hour to save a few $100s, and I'll just buy a new one of these. Okay. So I called the guy, talked to him. He was being really shady on the phone. He wasn't being very professional in the way that he was talking to me. So it almost sounded like I was calling somebody who was dealing parts out of their house and not like an actual business. So I got a little sketched out, and I asked him, I said, hey, if I buy this controller motor from you and it doesn't work, can I just return it and get a refund? And he said, no, all sales are final. If you buy it and it doesn't work, we don't take it back because we don't know whether or not you broke it. Okay, so I'm like, I don't want to spend $400. He was selling it for like $400. So I was like, okay, it's not $700, but if I spend $400 and it still doesn't work, what am I going to do? I'm going to be $400 short with another bad ECM. So that is kind of pointless to me, and I'm just going to spend a bunch of money for nothing. And I don't know enough about these systems to really know and to guarantee that if I bought a new one, it was going to work. Sometimes technicians, when they come out, sometimes they're not always right. They may think they know what the problem is, but with electronics, we all know sometimes it's not always the problem. Sometimes it's something else, and you think it's something, especially with computers. Like, you might think your hard drive went bad, and then you realize it was just one of the memory modules went bad, and you got to replace your memory. All of a sudden, your computer turns back on without having to do a full reformat. So, I figured, why not just say fuck it, you know, I'm just going to buy a new one. But if I'm going to buy a new one, I'm going to buy one from the actual company that already knows what the fuck they're doing. They know how the hell this all works, and I said, alright, I'm going to spend $700, fuck it. So, I called the lady back up. She was like, alright, no problem, I'll be there tomorrow, I'll come install the part, we'll be good to go, it'll be $700. Alright, cool. So, she comes over, she has a new upgraded module, it's the 3.0 version, and she pops it in and says, oh, it's not working. And I was like, oh, thank God I didn't buy that part for $400, because if I had bought it and it was brand new and I installed it and it didn't work, I was going to start freaking out that I was stuck with another $400 part I didn't need. So she started looking around with her flashlight, and I'm like, are you sure that it's even the motor that's bad? And she was like, yeah, it's definitely the motor. I checked it. So she took a multimeter and she started probing some of these pins in here, and she was able to tell me that this whole part is bad. Alright, fine. So she's telling me this part's bad. But obviously she brought in a new one. The AC still won't even turn on, so what the hell's the issue? So then she started looking around. This is the old board, by the way. And she saw this. I'm not sure if you can see that. Let me see when it comes up on my screen here on the computer. Just give it a minute. I think I'm on like a 20-second delay, so I just got to hold it up until I actually see it. So I know if I got to pull it further back for you to see or forward. Maybe forward a little bit. Yeah, I don't know how close this camera can see. Anyway, I got a better idea. I just stabbed myself in the finger with the back of the board. Yeah, be careful. These things bite. And try not to touch these capacitors on the back, because if it is still holding a charge, you don't want to get electrocuted. So, don't do that. Let me show you actually, because I have it on my phone, I can zoom in and show you directly what I found. You might be able to see it on the video, because it's a high-def live stream, so you shouldn't have too much of a problem. But on my screen, it's small, so I can't really tell if you can see it. So I'm just going to show it to you on here. Because I sent the picture to my landlord this morning to let her know I saved a bunch of money on my Geico insurance. I mean, the board. No, I'm just kidding. Alright, here. Alright, so you might be able to see it better there. There's a bunch of corrosion on the board, right? Like, all that white stuff that's on there. So I was wondering, like, how the hell did that happen? And I figured, the AC unit froze up in the heat from the summer, and it wasn't working properly once it froze up, and the water started melting because it was so hot down there in the basement. It started dripping down onto the actual board. So water dripped down onto here and shorted something out, and these little, I don't know if these are like little resistors on the board or what they are, but they went bad, it got fried, and I've been watching, I don't know if you guys know the YouTube channel Louis Rossmann. He's always taking apart like MacBook Pros, and he's always like putting in these pieces but like replacing them, and he's got like a microscope because they're so small, so he's got to go in and solder it. I was like, yeah, I don't have all that equipment, so I can't buy these little tiny resistors or whatever they are online and just replace them myself. My soldering iron's too big. If I try to do this, I'm gonna mess something up. It's just gonna get worse. I didn't even want to bother doing that. So I knew that the board was bad. I knew that the lady wasn't lying to me. The board was definitely bad because I could see it for myself where it was fried. So I was kind of upset because I asked her, alright, fine, whatever. How much is it going to cost me total for you to just fix the whole thing? Because now she wants me to buy a new ECM and a new board. All of a sudden the price just went up. She said the board's another $700. I'm like, or it was like $740, $750 or something like that. So let's call it $700. So I'm like, alright, so now I got to give you $1,400 for you to get the board and put it in and fix my furnace. She's like, yep, that's how much it's going to cost. Sorry, that's how much the parts cost. I can't do anything about it. And I said, well, I went online and I looked for this part and it didn't cost $700. So why are you going to sell me the board for $700? There's no reason why it should cost that much money. I could get a motherboard for my computer that does more than this board is meant to do, and it costs way less. I could spend like $200, $500 and get a badass motherboard for my computer. Why is my furnace unit having a $700 board? It's not that smart of a board. All it does is control voltages, you know, and variable speeds on this motor and stuff. It's not doing a lot. Alright, anyway, so I got upset because I didn't know what else to do. So I started researching on these parts a lot, and I found out there's 3 parts on this motor that go bad commonly, right? Or, it's not a motor, it's a ECM, but whatever, you get what I mean. Alright, so check this out. These capacitors here, these 2 big-ass ones that'll probably kill you if you put your tongue on it, don't do that. Sometimes you'll see that because they're really old, they start going bad, and this top part on them will raise up or pop. And you'll see that it's got like some burn marks, or it's like these capacitors are like blown up and they get really fat. So you know that if that happens, the capacitors are gone and you're going to need new capacitors. The other common thing that I keep seeing is this little black thing in here that's called a thermistor. And the way that it works is it works like a resistor, but it works according to temperature. So depending on how hot the thermistor gets, because you know it's generating heat through the electricity that's running through it, I believe that's how they are, it'll actually regulate the voltage depending on the temperature. So, alright, how much do these things cost? That's what I thought. I was like, if this little black thing that's in here is the problem, all I got to do is just take it off with my soldering iron, put a new one in, and the problem should be fixed, right? So, there's 2 screws in here. There's a screw down here that says ground on the board. There's a screw up here at the top next to one of the capacitors. And then there's a little plastic piece in here that holds the board down. You can see it there in the corner. It's this thing here that I'm pointing to with the screwdriver. So, that thing there actually... Hang on. Fixing the cable here. Alright, so that little plastic thing there also holds the board in, so when you unscrew it, you gotta make sure that you squeeze that part in a little bit so you can get the board off. Alright. So, I'm going to just push it with my finger while I pull on this metal piece here in the center. And there it goes. Now when I pull it off, I got to be a little careful with it because the power wire, this red and black wire on the back, let me show you. These wires here are still connected, so you got to be careful so you don't pull those off by accident. Underneath the board, you can see where that thermistor's soldered in. So what I did is I did a whole video of me resoldering on the part. Let me show it to you. Okay, so this video I'm going to edit in with this one that we're doing right now, once I'm all done and completed. But I have a whole video I shot of me taking this whole thing apart and resoldering in that new thermistor. So I looked on eBay for them actually, and I think I found like 2 for like $4 or something like that. It was extremely inexpensive to buy new ones. So they came in this like little baggie, you know, and they came with 2 of them. So I was like, all right, if one of them doesn't work, I can try another one. And I soldered it on the board in this video. Here, let me close this out. So I soldered it on the board to here, and I went online and I decided I was going to look up the model number for the board so I could get a new board since this thing was fried. In the meantime, I just left this off to the side once I soldered a new piece in. Before I get to this, let me show you this, what I was talking about inside this ECM. That way I can put it back together. So, you see how inside there's like a couple more electronic pieces, and then there's this black stuff that's all around in here? All this black stuff feels like rubber. So, what it is it's separating an electronic board in here from this board. So I'm like, alright, maybe something inside, underneath, the silicone went bad. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But first, let's try just plugging this thing in, see if it works. You gotta make sure, there's like a little notch up here on the board, so you gotta make sure it matches up with this. This is where one of the screws go in that hold this part to the actual motor, the blower motor. Alright, so I got the parts in, let me screw it back. I just wanted to show you that silicone piece on the inside, because I thought, if it's not the capacitors or the thermistor that went bad, maybe something in the board underneath went bad. And if that's the case, I can't access that board. There's no way for me to pull all that silicone off. It's on there really good, and it would make a huge mess if I tried to rip it off. It would ruin this whole piece. So I decided I'm just going to not mess with that. I'm just going to mess with these 3 components that I think go bad on this unit. Alright, cool. So that's in. I gotta push it back down to make sure it clips to that plastic piece again. Alright, now it's all back together. So, the next thing is, I went on eBay, like I said, and I looked up the model number for the board, because I figured, if I'm gonna buy a new board, I want to see if it's really $700. I actually found the company that was selling it for $800, and I was like, damn, they're selling it for even more than the company quoted me. Maybe the company's actually giving me a good price. Let me see where the model number is on this so I can tell you. Does it even say it on here? I don't even see it. But if I do, I'll share it in the video once I edit it. I know what the model number for this is, so if I see it, I'll know if it's right. Hang on a second, I gotta blow my nose anyway. $15,816. So where's that? $15,816. I wonder where they put it. Maybe it's inside the actual unit downstairs. I'll have to look and add it to the video later once I edit everything, because I don't see it on the actual board. But the way I got the model number was when the lady was here doing the diagnostic on the AC unit. I asked her, and she said that like, she was kind of upset because I didn't want to give her the $1,400 to fix the unit that day. Well, I told her, I was like, do you even have the board right now? Because if you do, I'll just pay the $1,400 and you can go on go on your way. Because I was so angry at that point that it was so expensive that I was just like, fuck it, I'll pay it. I just want to get it over with. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I just want my AC to work. Because remember, this was like the middle of the summer, so it was hot as balls in here every day. I went and I asked her, I said, you know, how come it costs so much money? Because I looked online for this other part here, and I saw it from anywhere from $200 to $400. So why are you charging me $700? She's like, oh, well, that's just what they cost new. Plus, you get the guarantee that it's going to work, and you get 1 year of warranty with the product. So if your AC dies again within the year, and it's the board or the motor that went bad, we'll just replace it for you. I'm like, all right, but that's kind of still expensive for a 1 year warranty and the board in this to pay $1,500. It wasn't worth it for me. So I was like, well, what if I just go online and I find the board on my own? Can I do that and then you come install it? She's like, yeah, we'll do that, but then there's no warranty. So whatever you pay for the board and the ECM, that's all you get. If it goes bad in a week after you install it, then there's nothing we can do about that. You're going to have to deal with the costs again. So, they say that kind of stuff, and it scares the shit out of you because you're just sitting there thinking, like, fuck, what if I spend $1,400 and then all of a sudden I realize, like, this thing doesn't work anymore? I want them to be able to come fix it for free. I don't want to have to pay that again in a week just because I didn't find the right problem. And I was like, what if something else is causing these boards to short out? Who knows? So she was like, well, if you want to find the board online, just go look for this number. And then I was like, fine. I wrote it down on my phone. I put it in a little notepad on here so that I would remember what the hell it was. And I started looking online. So I found the guy who was selling this board for like $250. Again, remember, I still haven't bought the new one of these. All I did was buy this little black thermistor thing and resolder it in. The new board finally came in about a week. And as you guys probably saw last night if you were here on the live stream, I installed it. Once I installed it, I made sure, actually right before I installed it, I made sure I took a bunch of pictures of it because I wanted to make sure that all of the wires down here that were plugged in, all of the connectors that are here, all of the connectors that are here on this area and down here, I wanted to make sure they were all plugged in exactly the same way as they were before. There's two ways you can do this. One of them is to have both boards side by side and then just start unplugging one cord, plug it into the right place, plug another cord, plug it into the right place. But if you fuck up and you drop it all or something and then you forget where something goes, you're screwed. So always take pictures if you can. Just use my cell phone. It was very easy to do. That way if I forget, I know exactly where everything goes. So there's no reason not to do that. Now, once I got everything replaced, I went ahead and popped the new board in. And as you guys may have seen last night, I was having all sorts of technical issues with all my electronics. Nothing seemed to be working properly. My computer decided to start streaming on its own without me even being upstairs. Like, I was downstairs plugging this board in and all the wires, and all of a sudden my computer started streaming up here by itself. That kind of creeped me out. I was like, what the hell's going on with everything? Well, the AC ended up, I saw that the furnace came on, right? When I turned everything back on, I saw the fire ignite inside of the unit. I heard the little fan for the heater part of it come on, but the big blower motor wouldn't come on still. So I'm like, fuck, I do have to buy a new one of these. I'm just going to have to suck it up and buy it. So today, this morning, I called a company. I went on eBay and I found this company that was really helpful. And I started asking them a couple questions. I was like, okay, I have this part. I want to upgrade it to the new part. Because remember, this one got discontinued because it used to short out and die or something. There was like a problem they found with it. So they made a newer version, 3.0 or something, that actually is supposed to work better. So I was like, all right, well, how do I tell which one to buy? Because they all have different model numbers. So if I'm not buying the same exact one with the same exact model number on the side, and I'm upgrading it, it's going to be a different model number. But I remember reading online that they have to be programmed to your unit, and you can't go to the store and buy these. You have to buy them from a licensed professional. A licensed professional has to buy it. You can't go out and buy it by yourself. So I was like, fuck, man, this is going to be so difficult because I can't call the company and have them buy it. They're going to charge me $800. So this company was actually really helpful. I started talking to the guy on the phone and asking him, what do I do about upgrading this? What other model numbers are going to work with my unit, because I don't want to get the same one. it's going to just end up dying again in a couple months, and I'm going to keep doing this over and over again. I don't want to deal with that. So let me find the name of the company, because I want to tell you guys the name of the company, because this guy was actually really helpful. They're called United HVAC Motors. So HVAC, which is like what they call, stuff to do with AC units generally, and furnaces, they call that HVAC. So yeah, the name of the company is United HVAC Motors, and they're on eBay. On eBay, they actually have their phone number on there, so that's how I got in touch with them. And I asked the guy, like, if he could just give me the model number to the new one, and if they don't have it, I'll go online and I'll just find it, and I'll buy the upgraded model. And he's like, well, we actually have another model that we can program to work with your unit, and it's only $179. Dude, I ran to that kitchen so fast and grabbed my wallet. I was like, I will pay $180 for the new one of these if it's going to work with my system. And he's like, well, we can sell you the whole motor and the ECM, and I think it was going to be like around maybe 200 and something, like $250, $300. So I thought about it for a second. I was like, wait, if the motor still works, I don't want to spend the extra money and get another motor. I want to use the same motor I already have in there if it's perfectly fine. So he was like, well, does the motor spin? So I went down there, I pushed the motor fan wheel thing with my hand, and it spun just fine. So I was just like, yeah, it's spinning fine, because sometimes those things break on the inside and they get locked up, and that's what causes these things to fry. So when I saw that the motor was still spinning, I knew that the motor was probably fine. Those rarely go bad. It's very, very difficult to break those. So I said, just send me the part. All right, cool, order done. But this was this morning. And I just kept thinking to myself, like, man, I really don't want to buy a new one of these. I feel like this one that I have here at home is just fine. So I took it back apart. I was like, let me just take a second look at this to make sure that my solder points are good, because maybe I didn't solder it on all the way. So get this. It's give it a swift kick because it works on the car every time. Yeah, I mean, trust me, I tried punching it a few times and it didn't kick back on, so that didn't work for me. So I had to go to the next best thing. So I pulled this thing back apart, and I realized that the thermistor, the new one that I put on, was broken. One of the legs were actually not attached. So I don't know if maybe when I put it back in place, or when I was shoving it into the AC unit to try to fix it, if maybe I hit it against something and it cracked it and broke. So I took my soldering iron back out, I took this old one off, and I put the second one that they sent me. Remember, I said it came with 2 in this little bag. So I was like, thank God I have an extra one. So I can at least try it. So I went ahead and reinstalled the new thermistor on there. And I've been thinking to myself all day, that has to be the issue. If I got a new board, and the board was fried, then this thing might have never been bad. I might have put this new thermistor in here for nothing. This might have worked just fine the whole time. And I asked the AC lady that. I said, what if I just give you the $700 for the new board and don't buy this and we just use my old one? Let's just try it with the old one. She's like, no, I already put the multimeter on it. I know for sure that both parts are bad. If you want me to come back to your house and replace it, you're going to have to buy both parts. I was like, whatever. I'm not doing that. I'm not fucking paying $1,400 for a stupid board and a couple capacitors and shit. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, I soldered that new thermistor on there, and now I gotta go install it, make sure everything fucking works. So you guys are gonna come with me, and I'm either gonna look really fucking stupid or we're gonna be good. So let's see what happens. You guys that are crossing your fingers that this doesn't work and makes me look stupid, fuck you guys. No, I know this is gonna work. There's no way this isn't gonna work. Do you want to come with me? You can come with me if you want. Alright, we're going to bring this down, bring this thing down. And, okay, so what I'm going to do real quick, also to make sure I can test it properly, is I'm going to turn the AC on. I want to turn the AC to cool. I'm going to put it, yeah, it's like at 68 degrees. Let's put it on 69 just because we want to be edgy. Alright, 69 degrees. So I know my house is not it says it's 75 in here right now. So So it's definitely going to kick on if it's working. You want to come with me, Luna? Let's go. You can come with. Alright, let me close this. Did you eat your chicken yet? Nope, it's still sitting there. Go eat your chicken. Somebody else is going to grab it. It's going to be a raccoon or something that comes into the yard and eats your chicken. Alright, so let's put this down here. Remember, again, make sure the power's off before you touch anything. Alright, it's off. I made sure that this little button here is also off. It's not touching. Because when you put the case back on, let me give you guys some light. Okay, so, hold on, I gotta just close a couple of things out on my phone here. Alright, so there's a button right here. When you put the case back on, or whatever, the front panel, it actually clicks that button down so it keeps it powered on. That way when you take the panel off, it automatically kills the power so you don't electrocute yourself. But, you know, sometimes, like the lady who was in here testing it put a piece of tape over it to hold it down, just so she could test it out without the panel on. So I would recommend making sure that button is not pushed in whenever you go to mess with this inside of here. Okay, so enough with the safety bullshit. Just don't fucking electrocute yourself and blame me, okay? Because this is actually really easy to do. Just turn off the fucking power. Alright, so there's these two wires down here that are on the floor, and they plug in to the side, and it's very easy because you cannot put those upside down. Let me put my camera down for a second. Okay, so if you take a look at these ends here, they got shapes to them. So you can't put them on upside down because it won't let you, because the shapes will not fit in the right holes, or in the wrong holes. Alright, so what I'm going to do, since it's kind of dark down here and I can't see very well, is I'm going to have to lay down on the ground and stick my arm in there so that I can plug that ECM back into those wires that are all the way back there. They're not long enough for me to do it outside of the unit, so I actually have to stick my arm in there. So I'm just going to stick my cell phone against here so I can have some light. These are long enough so I can go ahead and just plug these in now. Alright, cool. I don't even know. There's like these two really long bolts that hold this in place. I'm going to have to find those so I can screw them back in properly, because I don't know where the hell she put them or where they went. So, anyway, don't lose your screws. Alright, so let me see. I'm just making sure where this connector goes, right here. And there's two that are a circle, and one is shaped like the letter D. So I know that the letter D one is on the top. So when I look at the connector, I'm going to make sure that I put the letter D up at the top. Alright, so let me stick my hand in here. And we'll put the light in this little hole so I can see better. Alright, I'm looking at the cable. I see the one that looks like the letter D is at the top. And let's plug it in. And you should feel the connector click in. And I'm just going to put this up here for now so it'll like hold in place. Let me show you what I did. So now that you can see in here, so you see it back there plugged in? Alright, cool. Yeah, that's as good as I can get footage for you guys. So it's all plugged back in now. Now it's the moment of truth. Everybody cross your fucking fingers because I really don't want to look like an idiot right now. Alright, I'm going to flip the power back on. Nothing happened because we got to remember we got to push this button down. So Put the piece of tape on it. Alright, so I know the board's working. I see the lights blinking in here. There we go. I hear it. Motor's working. Fuck yeah. I knew it. I fucking knew it. Just dropped my phone. Yeah, you hear that shit, bitches? Now let me just make sure I move some of this stuff out of the way so it doesn't get sucked in there by accident. And let me go upstairs and make sure that the AC unit's actually blowing cold air. Oops, sorry, Falcor. It is. Listen. Can you hear the air coming out? And it's nice and cold, too. Fucking told you guys. So I ended up paying like, what was it? $250 for the board. I paid about $80 for, I don't know, maybe it was like $60 to $80 for the actual diagnostics, which gave me insight into what was actually wrong with my unit because I didn't know how to diagnose it myself. And then I spent maybe another $4 to maybe $10 with shipping for those stupid thermistors. Let me shut this back off because I need to make sure that that part is screwed in there. Otherwise it might jostle loose and then fall off. So I gotta find those bolts for it. But fuck yeah, I fixed it. So yeah, I mean, instead of paying all that fucking money, it took me months. It took me like 2 months to do this because I didn't want to really spend the money and I didn't know what was really wrong. And I had to do a lot of trial and error stuff. But I finally just figured out what the fuck was wrong with it. And trust me, I did a lot of Google searching to try to figure out all of this. And that's why I wanted to do a video and share it with you guys and tell you exactly what I did and what I went through. Because it might give you a better idea of what to do if yours goes wrong. Now, I know there's like a lot of different issues that it can be. So that was my way to diagnose it. If you guys don't mind spending the 60 to 80 bucks for somebody to come to your house and diagnose it, it's probably a good idea. That way you don't have to spend like weeks and weeks trying to figure out what's wrong. But once they tell you what's wrong, if it's a part that you can just replace on your own, don't be scared to do it. I mean, if you watch my video from last night, which I'll include in this video when I actually edit it down, you can see where all the connectors are. It's very hard to get them wrong because a lot of them have this, you know, different shapes. So the shapes are going to go in to the right shapes. That's it. You can't really fuck that up. The only thing that you can fuck up by accident are these little pins here on the bottom if you put the wires in wrong. But as long as you take a picture of it and you know exactly what color goes where and which wires go where, you'll be fine. But yeah, that saved me a whole shit ton of money, so I wanted to do a video and show you guys. So I hope this helps somebody at least figure out that sometimes when these companies tell you that you need something and they're 100% right because they know what they're talking about, they're not always fucking right. They're really not. I was about to spend another $700 on having her come back with that fucking ECM motor. And I know I said I ordered that other one this morning. I actually called the guy and I asked him if I can cancel the order. So he said, yeah, I already shipped it, but when it gets to you, just deny the order or ship it back to us and I'll make sure you get a refund. So that's why I was like, dude, I'm going to make a YouTube video about this whole thing, so I don't mind sharing the name of your company. I'll put it down in the description below. He gave me full permission to, and he was very helpful with at least telling me the part number that I needed, and he was actually going to ship me the part. He didn't even, I don't even want to get into other stuff because I don't know the legalities behind it, but in all honesty, he was willing to help me, and that was a lifesaver for me because had I plugged that ECM motor in with the new thermistor that I just soldered in and it didn't work, I was just going to try the new one that he sent me, and then I was going to do a video and be like, yeah, here's how I fixed it. I bought this ECM, I bought a new board, all is well. But I didn't even have to do that because as soon as I took mine apart again today, I realized this thing was broken, and there's no way it's going to work if this was broken. So, problem solved, AC's fixed. I'm going to actually shut off the video and the live stream here because I want to go down there and finish doing that. It's actually kind of hot in here. As you saw, it was already 75. I've got my window open, and it's still, like, fucking starting to boil in here with me running up and down the stairs. So I want to go finish putting all of that together and make sure it's all good. But I wanted to share this first. I'll probably come back and do another live stream later on. I have a couple things I have to take care of personally, so it might not be until later tonight. So this is fixed. I'm happy, finally. I don't have to spend fucking thousands of dollars on repairing this AC unit. I'm really happy. So another thing that I fixed in the house on my own. I'm very proud of myself, and I hope you guys are proud of yourself if you're able to do it on your own too, because that's a lot of money to spend on having an AC unit fixed. And the other company that I called, like, remember I told you there was another company I asked about, and they said they wouldn't sell to me because, or if they did sell to me, they weren't going to accept the item back if it didn't work. Well, those guys said they'll come in and do the install for me, but they wanted to put a whole new furnace in. And I asked him, I said, well, how much would it be to put a whole new furnace in? Because he said that the one that I have with that stupid ECM thing is a piece of shit and it's going to die every couple of years or something. And I was like, well, if it dies every couple of years and it's easy to fix, it's not a big deal. But if it's going to be, you know, $1,400 every couple of years, just put in a new furnace. So I asked him how much it was going to cost, and I think he said somewhere around $1,600 to $1,700. So I was going to be paying more money for them to put a whole new furnace in. And I was like, I don't feel right about doing that because I don't think that I need a new furnace. I think I really just need that new ECM motor or board. Luckily, we figured it out. It's all working now. Ganja man, I'm going to strangle you, dude. No, the oil cap was stolen, okay? Listen. I'm going to tell you a story right now. I found out after what happened last night that there's this guy that I think he lives in this house. I don't know for sure. But he's called the Nipple Monster. And he makes bad things happen all the time, you know? So I think he took the oil cap because I think he was trying to cover his nipple. Because that might have been what caused him all the problems to begin with and why he became a monster. Because his nipples were always showing. So I honestly I think once I pulled that part off of my car, I went outside to go look for it. The Nipple Monster already took it. There's nothing I could do about it. So you're just going to have to deal with it. But again, thank you guys for being here on this video and hanging out. I got to go finish putting that thing back together. And I got to go find those stupid bolts for it and everything to make sure it doesn't come apart. And I'll eventually come back and hang out with you guys in a little bit. It sucks because I really wanted to paint this this deck, and it keeps looking like it's going to pour rain outside. I still don't see any rain, but I keep hearing thunder. I mean, it's kind of drizzling, so I can't fucking do that. And I still got to fix the shower, too, so I want to live stream me fixing the shower to show how the fuck I did that as well. I don't know. Yeah, I'll see you guys later, man. You guys have a good rest of your day. I definitely want to come back later. I just got to finish all this shit. So, peace out. Have a good rest of your day for now. And I'll see you guys in a bit.